Hey, folks, welcome back and thank you again for joining us on another episode of AWS On Air. My name is Adrian San Miguel. I'm a principal enterprise architect here at AWS. We're working with our technology partners. Today, I'm joined by two very exciting guests that I may have had just a little bit of anticipation in reaching out and wanting to make some connection before we brought them out on the show. Gentlemen, would you please mind introducing yourselves and letting us know what you do and for whom you do the things that you do?
Sure. So I'm Daniel Meyer. I'm Chief Technology Officer at a company called Camunda. What we do is we help organizations build agents, orchestrate processes, and we made it our mission to deliver the best possible orchestration to the world. And I'm here today with my colleague Mathieu. Mathieu, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Mathieu. I'm the engineering manager for everything AI at Camunda. And basically, I'm just organizing every engineers that are working on this agentic process orchestration thing that I'm going to show today.
Excellent, fantastic. And genuinely, I am very excited to have you on the show as I have spent quite a good deal the last couple of years, as many of us have, working with all things AI. I spend quite a big amount of my time working with partners, incorporating AI into their stack, investigating where it makes sense, more importantly, where it doesn't make sense, to start incorporating all things agentic workflows into their technology offerings. What's really interesting, I would love to hear if you could let us know how you were able to, I believe, use Amazon Bedrock as a key part of your agentic workflow. Daniel, is that something you could walk us through?
Sure thing. So basically, Camunda is an orchestration platform. So what Camunda can do is you have people, you have APIs, you have tools, you have systems, and you need to implement an agent or even an end-to-end process that orchestrates across all of that. And Bedrock is great because it's basically an abstraction layer over different LLMs. So basically, what we've done is in Camunda, the code that is responsible for within an agent picking the next action or deciding how the process should continue. That code we have integrated with Bedrock, and then via Bedrock we get access to different LLMs, and we give our customers the opportunity to select the LLM that provides the best output for the tasks at hand. That's how it works on a high level, but we'll also be happy to take you through how it works on a technical level if you're interested.
I am very, very much interested. But of course, and I'm sure many of our folks in the audience, and if you have questions, please by all means chat, drop them in. We're happy to take them. We do have folks working the chat queue right now, happy to take those. And I know there's probably one sight unseen. I don't even have to look. There's probably a question about security and compliance in there. Gentlemen, is there anything specific that you're leveraging within Camunda to help maintain those compliance and audit questions that a lot of folks are going to have to maintain, especially if you want to have compliance in a regulated environment?
Sure, I'll talk about that a little bit, and Mathieu, please add to it, of course. So the way we have architected our solution is that we always allow our customers to use their own LLMs, their own AI, and their own services. And that basically is really important for things like data privacy, governance, and basically if they have existing AI governance inside their organization, then they can basically reuse that for Camunda. So that's sort of the base layer. And then the other thing is, because we're an orchestration platform, we can actually trace everything that happens inside an agent and inside a process. So we give customers a full audit log on here's all the steps that the agent took. This is everything it has done. Here's the reasoning behind it, why it has made certain decisions. And by exposing all of that to the customer, we can enable them to basically build confidence when it comes to putting those solutions into production.
Awesome. Personally, I struggle anytime that I'm trying to do coding, leveraging my favorite AI agent and trying to remember what it was that I did or trying to backtrace anything that I did. So it's rather comforting to know that there is that audit log. Matthew, is there anything that you might be able to add around security and governance framework that you help implement to give customers further peace of mind there?
Yeah, exactly. So the beauty of Camunda, it's a platform that is actually composable, right? So you can bring your own governance, your own activity. So as part of your workflow, you can include some of that audit trail, right? So if you want to bring a human in the loop, or if you want that audit trail to be stored somewhere, that's also can be a step in the task that you define as part of your process. The beauty of Camunda is that we're not only bringing and building agents into our basically orchestration process software, that would be the dynamic part, but you can also bring the deterministic part as well. So around the agents, you can define steps that you want as part of your process for that auditability, bring human in the loop, and all of those aspects. If you want to review what an agent did after the fact and things like that.
That sounds really interesting, and I would love to see it in action. Is that something that you might be able to show us?
Sure. Um, so here's basically what you see on the screen is what we
Okay.
call the Camunda modeler. So in the modeler, you can actually model the process that you want to build. And in this case, I just want to showcase a process that we've built to handle a loan support agent through a chat interface. So the big thing in the middle that you see here is basically what we call an AI agent IDOXA process. As you can see, there's a bunch of boxes inside there that don't have any arrows. So as you can see, outside of the agents, we have arrows that define like how the workflows go from one task to another. But inside the Adoxa process, everything is dynamic, right? So what happens here in the background is that these AI agents will decide which of the task inside will be executed as part of the request that comes in from a user. You mentioned before, like this is powered by AWS. Actually, when you bring in here um, the properties that are assigned to that AI agents, you can see that we actually call AWS Bedrock, that we define the credentials assigned to it and the actual model that we use for that purpose. You can also define the system prompts and a bunch of different visual parameters. These AI agents also handles memory. In this case, we handle memory of the agent, which is the conversation that you're having with the LLM in process. But you can also store it in any of the different things. I won't go to too many details here because I want to go through a specific demo. But basically what happens here is I will send a chat message and the process will start. So let's go and see how it goes. So I will say hello. And then we have another product called Operates. In this case, Operates helps you actually see what is happening on your process. And you can actually follow here the reasoning of the agent itself, and you can see where is that. So in this case, I've received the message. You can see the activities that were activated in blue. And what happened here is that the agent decided to reply to me as part of the activity that is available to them. As part of these AI agents, you can see there's many tools, right? You can load some available loan products, you can calculate repayments, you can search a knowledge base, you can save information in knowledge base, and you can also bring a human in the loop. So those are the actions that are available to the agent, right? So I try to bring and ask some questions related to learn and then see what it does. So
Okay.
let's say, do you support home loans in Amsterdam? Something like that.
There's worse
Um,
places to ask that question for.
um, so let's see where it goes. So as you can see, the process continues, right? He received an answer from me. So he's going through with it. And now it's back to the LLM, right? So the LLM gets back the message that I just sent and then think again and then think about all the tools that are available to achieve its goal. So here, very interesting things here is that you can see that he's actually searching the knowledge base for information and he's actually loading available product from an SQL database that is run on AWS at the moment as well. And based on the information that he collected from an open search instance in this case, and also SQL, he's able to actually get back to a response and says, we do provide home loans. but we don't provide it for apartments or multi-unit buildings, only single-family house. And this is something that was part of the knowledge base managed in AWS, right? Um, but maybe and something that I want to showcase here, and something we've done for this specific demo, is that we've added a little task here in the middle that is calculate loan repayments and affordability. Basically something that I have built before, which is just a bit of code on AWS that is running through a Lambda function. And basically what it does, it takes as input a bunch of parameters and decide if someone can afford a loan or something else. And I've just added it on the specific agent as a tool, and then see how you can use it. So I would say, can I afford my loan?
And but
What's
maybe I can quickly
Yeah.
add something here that might be interesting for the
Yes, please.
people who are. You could see how Mathieu has chatted with this agent multiple times, and in between the agent is waiting. And so it's not starting from the beginning, but it's really waiting and waiting for a new message to come in. And this is possible because this agent is basically running in our workflow engine. So we have in the background, there's a workflow engine which can orchestrate APIs and other tools, but it can wait. It can wait for a minute, it can wait for a month, it can wait for a year, and then a new message comes in, and then it continues. This is super important when you build more complex agents that actually orchestrate across different systems where failure can happen, and also that implement real business processes where I need to wait for external parties to make a certain decision and not lose the state. So this is really critical.
Yes, it is. I can't count the number of times debugging a CloudFormation stack and ask a question, walk away to grab some water, come back. Tell me the CloudFormation status. What stack? I was literally here 30 seconds ago and you lost context. This is pretty fantastic.
So basically, what I wanted to showcase is that I'm able to calculate the loan, and then I just want to showcase here in the modeler that we have a from AI function. So the agent is able to inject the parameters that it needs, and basically those are the parameters that I need to send to my Lambda function that I just created, which is the interest rate, the yearly income, the loan terms in years, and the loan amount, basically. And then my little calculation in Lambda is actually performing the calculation if I can afford it or not. Here I kind of ask, can I afford my loan? And he basically asked me those 4 parameters. So he knows that there is a tool that is available, but then he needs those 4 parameters. So I'm just gonna provide that and then see what it does. So go back to operate in this case, and hopefully it should potentially, like, everything is dynamic, right, with agents. So sometimes it'll work the way we want, but in this case, you can see that he's actually activated calculate the loan repayment affordability, which is basically calling the AWS function here.
Yeah. Interesting question just came in from the chat, gentlemen. And this is one that I struggle answering many times myself. How do agentic processes differ from deterministic automation? And what role does AWS infrastructure here play in supporting AI decision making?
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. So so we can actually see a blend here of what we call deterministic orchestration and dynamic orchestration. Deterministic means basically the path that the automation takes is predefined based on rules. And when orchestration is deterministic, then we basically, for example, predetermine a sequence in which certain steps happen, or we say these things always happen in parallel, or we say do this and then wait for a day and then continue, or do this and then wait for a message and then continue. And you can see some of those patterns in Mathieu's example here, right? So you can see how it starts with a chat message, and then always the first thing we're doing after the chat message is we send a thinking update, right? And then always after that, we enter this big box here in the middle. So that's deterministic, right? It always happens in that sequence. But then once we are in this box, now it is what we call dynamic, and the LLM decides which of the different options we have here in this sub-process should be activated. And it's then basically doing that in a loop. We call that a reasoning loop until it has achieved its goal. That is the dynamic orchestration. So it can decide, should I load available loan products or should I calculate a repayment and affordability? And if true, in which order? So that's basically the stage we're in now. But we also allow you to blend both patterns because you can see that within the sub-process here, you again have deterministic patterns, right? So for example, if we escalate to a human, which is what we're doing now, we're asking the loan specialist for advice, then always after that, either we save this information knowledge base or we don't, right? And that is again a deterministic pattern here. So that's basically those two things. It's important that you have both for real world processes and real world agents, because in the real world, agents are never fully deterministic. Otherwise, it's not an agent, right? And they're also never fully dynamic, because then you would be delegating all responsibility to AI. And that is typically not what you want. So you want to be able to blend both in a very seamless way. And that's what we can do here with this approach. And the second part of your question was, which role does AWS infrastructure play here? Well, the whole thing runs on AWS when we run it in our SaaS offering, and we are using certain AWS services, as you can see here, like, for example, Bedrock for the LLM, or the Lambda for the like here for a specific tool. We're using OpenSearch. We can basically use any AWS service in this agent. You could also have a queue of messages, and then those messages would be ingested in Camunda, and then different agents react to those messages. That would also be a pattern.
Well, awesome. Thank you for that. Oh, it looks really infinitely flexible. Effectively, bring your own tool, bring your own service. Really.
Exactly. Mathieu, do you want to show the human in the loop?
Yes, correct. So in this case, we just asked if, I just know that this information is not in the knowledge base, right? So I said, do you support loans in Germany? What the agent did is that he searched in the knowledge base to kind of understand if we do support a loan in Germany, but he couldn't find that answer, and that's where it becomes really powerful, because here he can decide, okay, I don't know the answer, I will ask a specialist, and in this case, I will create what we call a task in tasks, but it can be any kind of user task, right? And as you can see here, we receive a form basically, and let's say that it's a task for someone in the bank, right? And then here the agent explains why he's asking a question, right? So he says the customer is asking if Camunda Bank supports loans in Germany. And then he asks, like, I need some clarification because there is some knowledge gap. I search for loans, Germany, geographic coverage, country supported, but none of those gave any answer. So can you please help me? And that's where it's interesting, because there a human can just come in, but as you can see, it's still running, right? We should probably send a message to a user, like somebody is looking at it, like a human is looking at it, or something like that. But the process is still running, right? So it can take a few hours, few days even, and then the process can continue. In this case, I will say, yes, we support it. And then, as Daniel mentioned, we can decide to add that information to the knowledge base, meaning that next time the user comes back, then the human will not be brought back into the loop, because that information will be in the knowledge base, and then no human would be in the loop anymore.
You've solved for the edge case at that point.
Exactly. Exactly. So you bring the human in the loop when it's needed. And then I've completed the task here. As you can see, I said that I didn't want to save it in the knowledge base. And it's back to the LLM again. And then what is interesting is that now the agent has information from the human and can actually reply, yes, we do support loans in Germany, and then continue with its life. So really interesting patterns here, and very powerful. And as Daniel mentioned as well, the blend of dynamic execution with deterministic execution, right? So sometimes other frameworks or things like that don't really offer that flexibility of having like deterministic workflow, because sometimes things happen in sequence, right? I think this is what the power of Camunda is, and in this case, there is a small example. But if you want, Daniel can also show like a bigger example at the end as well, where we have multi-agents interactions and things like that are way more complex.
As intriguing as that sounds, we're just about at time. We've got just about 2 minutes if I'm looking at the clock right. So, what I would love to do, gentlemen, is leave you with enough time to give the viewers in the chat enough time to give them some homework, give them somewhere to go learn more about Camunda, where they can go learn more information, where they can start building things on their own, and what you would like them to do as their next step.
Perfect. Mathieu, do you want to just share that?
Would basically go to if you want to start building your agents, we have a get started guide here that would guide you to build your first AI agents. Um, the powerful thing is that you can use Camunda on your computer as well if you wanted to. It's completely a self-managed product, but you can also create a free trial and start from there. So this page will guide you to build your first agent. Basically, would guide you the first agent that I showed you now, and then build your own, right? And then you can actually explore what tools are available through Camunda, or build your own and start processing your first, chat interactions or any interactions that you want to automate through Camunda. So I think that's probably where I would go. Daniel, do you have any other ways we could explore more?
Yeah. What I would add is the question is always, what do I use it for, right? So you can build agents with Camunda. What kind of agents should I be looking for? What should I do with Camunda? What should I maybe do with some other tool? So if you have agents that are long running, right? So that don't only process chat messages, but that need to run for a longer period of time, react to complex events in their environment, interact with various different tools and systems, then these kinds of orchestration agents that you can build with Camunda are super powerful. So that's what I would that's what I would look at. So, and that can be any kind of use case, right? If you're, for example, in a bank, this can be fraud, this can be investigations, this can be customer onboarding. So, all kinds of different use cases that have a certain level of complexity where you need this power.
Great. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. Really appreciate it. And folks, stay tuned. We've got another bit of sessions coming up. Can't wait to get them back to you. Thank you so much.